into the some of the actual bigger issues of session, I guess you'd even say maybe even early. First off, got to give a shout out Lindsley Schussler. Brian Williams got me this outstanding Bunker Eagles T-shirt. I love this. I mean, I don't know how to love it more. Um, this is the like top birthday presents of all time. If you're asking where the Bunker Eagles are, I know one person that does know where they. That is Todd Richardson, and Hardy Brillington, and Jason Bean, and Bill. Anybody that's drove from Poplar Bluff to Jeff City, you know Bunker. That road just fishtails. It's one of the things that you ain't drunk. You're just driving on 72 through Bunker. Small school in Reynolds County, and I think it's got a little bit across the line in Dent County. Good folks, great school, love it. Can't thank you enough. Mwah, love it so much. Um, Also, let's get it right into it. Dee Dee Tania, thank you so much for the Stein of Knowledge. I love it. It's German. It's got the top on, a little patina on there. It's got the German writing. I mean, I just, it's got the little beer drinker setting the clock with the hoot owl. Love the hoot owl. Love it. Thank you so much. I am very excited. I got a real special Stein coming up next week from Richard Ford. It's going to be a hoot of a Stein. You'll get the lame joke next week. Let's dig right in. Last night in the state senate, you had Senator Eigel's bill. He's going to do a bunch of tax cuts, property tax cuts. He is, some people are to the when everybody got their state, they should like what? I didn't know that '82 Ford Fiesta was worth that much. So Bill Eigel's been talking this for a long time now. St. Charles County, it's an interesting thing. I think it's part of the dynamic of America that is an odd. You get this with federalism, I guess. In his county, in St. Charles County, when they vote for state legislature, they vote very right wing. I mean, almost past Republican, almost into almost so right wing. You go around the world, the left wing a little bit. The left and right wing kind of touches sometimes. In St. Charles County, they're way around there. But when they vote for school board, they don't vote right wing. They vote for more moderate centrist folks that I think they just view it a little differently. When they vote on school levies, they vote pretty much in favor of raising levies, and it's interesting dynamic. I don't know that I have the answer for you on why, but you have folks that vote pretty extreme one way, and then for your elected official, but for issues or for jobs of management where you manage something like a when you're a state rep, you kind of don't have a direct management role. It's more of a policy making role, or they make laws that are sort of high level. When you're down the end, they elect more moderate folks to make the trains run on time. Interesting dynamic. Well, Bill Eigel's tired of seeing his taxes raised, so he came up with an idea to cut property taxes. Like wants to eliminate them, but I mean, not really. I mean, I don't think you really do that. So what happened is the governor last year vetoed his bill that essentially did most of this, right? Well, let me tell you, when the legislature thinks the governor will veto a bill, then they don't have to filibuster. They just add on and add on and add on and add on. If you didn't get a tax cut last night, let's see, you would have had to be, you'd have to not own a car or a house or rent a house. You'd have to be last night if you didn't get a tax cut. I think you would have to be in a vegetative state with no assets. No, you probably then even probably got dang. I think every Missourian, even if you're listening to me from a vegetative coma, if you wake up years from now, today is February 22nd, 2023. If you wake up years from now and you're watching these because I don't know, community service maybe is making you do it. You got a tax cut while you were asleep, even though you didn't know it, and I promise you, somehow you did. So everyone loaded up whatever dream tax cut they've ever had because they'd have to pay for it, and you pretty much knew, well, this is just gonna, governor's gonna veto this. It's gonna be interesting to see if he. I assume he will if it's this big of a. He did it last year. It was like a St. Charles County only tax cut or something like that. He vetoed it. I think the conventional wisdom on the second or the third floor of the Capitol was that the second floor of the Capitol just vetoed this. So why take off Senator Eigel? And why not just throw all your stuff on there? And see how it flies. So, plus sometimes with some of these tax cuts that are a little different, it's nice to be able to say, well, the body passed this 34 to nothing or whatever, 26 to 8 or something 2 years ago or last year, or we've already voted on this. It was, it sort of helps. I don't want to say guilt, but it helps your case later to say the body's already passed a piece of legislation that you're bringing up again in a previous session. So I mean, there's some value to all of it. I think if I had to guess, this bill will be changed in the House. And if I had to guess, if it gets to the governors in this form, going off last year, he'll veto it. But the dangerous game that they're playing there is the truth is you can't. I mean, you might not always have a governor that cares about the welfare of the state like this. You might have a governor that just wants a good Facebook post, and he might start doing things that create real damage. You, I will tell you this. This is my starting knowledge pool for the day. Dee Dee, thank you so much. I love this so much, Dee Dee. You are the best. It was my absolute best Valentine's Day gift I got. Uh, I will tell you that you will miss Mike Parson when he's gone. You will. You might think, oh, I'm a right winger. I want crazy, crazy, crazy all the time. I'm from St. Charles County, but you'll miss Governor Parson when he's gone. There's things he stops from happening that it's like some people live their life like it's a textbook, right? Um, but in reality, no. It's in real life. It doesn't always work out like you'd like to think on one of these like right wing talk shows or something. In reality, there is a cost to things. Trains do have to run on time. Some of these services people need, and some of these services even Republicans want. So I assume he'll veto this. I did. I tell you what, I did think Senator Eigel's piece of this before. I'll be honest with you, and I like he's a senator from tax cuts. I mean, he's on his brand, right? And I think highly of Senator Eigel as a politician. To be honest with you, I think this time he went at a very different way. It was not. This was not a great. He's been accused in the past of grandstanding with some of these, and I think maybe sometimes there was some validity to those allegations, like there is for every single politician that's upwardly mobile. Every single politician with a future has filed a bill to grandstand a little bit. And if you think you didn't, you're only fooling you. Everybody else thinks that. But this was a very different piece of legislation. He went about cutting off cars that were like 10 years older. I mean, this piece of legislation was very differently crafted. And look, I do believe there is support even amongst Democrats for a 10-year-old car. You're really still paying taxes to the government on that. I mean, I think he's got some points there. Um, and especially in a place like St. Charles where the tax burden's going up. But the only thing I would say is that tax burden didn't go up by fiat. No, it wasn't like some, magic fairy came in from California and sprinkled tax increase dust on St. Charles County. Whatever your taxes are there is because you voted for them, right? So sometimes charity starts at home, right? Sometimes go figure out at your own home how to get how to convince folks in your neighborhood that these are bad or roll them back. I know for a fact if you've raised your tax levy to pay for whatever, you can also unraise it. It's just tough, right? Just tough. So, but you can't do it. So I don't. I thought his plan was. I thought there was a lot of that was very well written, and I would say that there's a feeling on the third floor of the Capitol yesterday afternoon that just gets over with. Just let Bill do whatever and move on. The governor will take care of it. And I will tell you this: I actually think you may see whether it's this bill in a different form. I don't think all the tax cuts that got lopped on there are going to be that's not real. But I would not be surprised to see Senator Eigel's idea over in the House or with another bill he does or as an amendment. He takes Roger Reedy as an assessor. He knows this stuff. Roger Reedy's a Warsaw County guy. He's from Windsor, lives in Windsor, Missouri. Good old boy, just a good old boy. Kind of old boy you'd want you'd let borrow your lawnmower, right? He's just a good guy. He knows this stuff backwards and forwards, and he's been working with Cinder Ive a little bit. They've got a plan together, and it's a very good mix of rural and suburban, very good mix of a guy that's got the ideology down for the guy that's got the practical down. I think it's the two of them. I would not be surprised. I don't know if it's this year, but it probably is this year. At some point, there'll be a bill come through. There's a lot of elements of Bill Eigel and Roger Reedy together, and you'd think that's an odd couple, right? But I think what make it work because Roger can tell you, well, if you move this decimal point, this is what it does over here because he did it for 20 years or whatever. So I think the two of them together make a good team. And while yesterday was like, okay, let's throw everything on Christmas tree, this thing and whatever. I do think there's going to be a form of that. I'm talking about just the underlying bill that comes back as a House bill or Senator Eigel works on something. I don't think you've seen the end of this. I think that Bill Eigel will be able to hit the campaign trail and say, I was the one telling you your property taxes were too damn high. They were ridiculous. They were just this system was so unfair, and I did something about it. Now, look, smart people do things incrementally. You don't want a government that's doing everything as extreme as it can. Um, So but I think he's going to be able to go on the campaign trail and say there was a problem. I said there was a problem, and nobody else was talking about this, and I helped fix a problem. And that to me, combined with rhetoric, is a great message to go sit in and ask for a donor for $20,000. Say I was saying this was a problem before everybody else did. I identified. I was pitching solutions before anybody else even acknowledged the problem, and I helped solve the problem. So I think it's an interesting thing, and I do think that a lot of the stars will align for some kind of property tax relief to come before long. That led to letting that bill go through led to a deal to let Elaine Gannon's postnatal Medicaid extension go through. Now, Kelton, watch me get in trouble and say something really dumb right here. But so right now, there's, as I understand it, Senator Gannon had identified a problem. There are certain people certain women on Medicaid, who after they have the baby, their Medicaid is pretty well cut off for them. It will extend for the child, but not for the mother. And obviously, if you've ever been a father, even and had a woman have a baby, or a brother or anyone with any common sense knows that's if you're going to give out charity to someone, which Medicaid is charity, you're taking from someone to give to another person. Boy, is there anybody that would be more deserving or more of a state interest in providing charity to than a woman that just had a child? I understand the arguments. Oh, Medicaid expansion. Da, da, da. Well, you know the voters did Medicaid expansion, so why not do it smart? And even if you have to cut some other guy off, like he only gets so many months, and cut that guy that can work for a living off, a woman that just had a child, I just I understand that on Twitter this won't make sense to people, and people will whine and complain. If you're from the suburbs, you're constantly a victim of something. So just make this what you're a victim of today. But the truth is, I can't imagine the argument for of the breadth of Medicaid. You couldn't find somewhere to cut even to add this, because it just makes so much sense. If you're going to have a Medicaid program, damn, it feels like you ought to have this covered. And honestly, I'll bet you most people, even in the Missouri legislature, thought this was covered until they were told that it wasn't. I bet you, I don't think they knew the problem this was until Senator Gannon and some others uh, brought it up and have done some good work. I watched some lobbyists shoot back over there after the tax cut of Palooza was done, and as this, I think there was some thought that Senator Gannon's bill would be filibustered to death, but it wasn't. And part of it is, here's the thing. I'll give you two things. One, you see a lot of people today, as I said with my bunker Eagles. That's how you do things in bunker right here. Um, you sit back and you compromise. There's some folks that didn't really like Senator Gannon's bill, and some folks didn't really like Senator Eichel's bill, but they both did a compromise. They got something they wanted, and they let something go they didn't want. That's kind of being a fucking adult, right? Uh, and I'll tell you, you can. I know there'll be people that get mad about saying this, but I'll tell you, say what you will. I do believe, and if you want to blame Senator Onder, okay. If you want to credit Senator O'Laughlin, okay. You want to credit everybody being so damn sick of people whining all the time and fighting, okay. I don't know what you want to pin it on, but something's different. There is something different. Um, I have always said right here, if you've been listening to me and my side of knowledge, the only thing scarier than the Senate fighting all the time and passing nothing is when they start passing a bunch of stuff. You're in a lot more danger then, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, if you're an old boy swinging a hammer today, or if you're a social worker today trying to help some kid. The fact of the matter is, you're both much more at danger when they start passing stuff. However, there is something different about the chamber. Now, it's the Senate. It's supposed to break down. It's supposed to have fights. Good God, imagine the state this state would be in if they didn't break down. You desperately want them to fight. You want it to be very, very hard to change a law in the state of Missouri. If it's not hard, it will be terrible. However, good for uh, I personally think, in my old white trash gut, I think Senator O'Laughlin has had a good effect. Now, it's February 22nd. There will be breakdowns. There will be fighting. They will have to dismiss early. They're supposed to. It's supposed to be hard. But I will tell you this: you just cannot look at the karma in the chamber, the deals that got done right there, without saying, okay, something is better than it was, something is working, something is a better environment. People are just damn happy to be there, and I think it's unfair not to give her a portion of that credit, and maybe the lion's share of that credit, because there's some things some folks left but a key change is she's there, and it was a new component in the leadership. And again, here's the thing: I'll look you in the eye and tell you at the end of session, if there's a bunch of bad things happen, or they just go to passing everything like the house, or they PQ something, I'll be the first one to say, well, okay, let's look at the same logic here. Maybe Cinder Ronder helped keep something bad happen. Maybe Cinder O'Loughlin didn't do as good a job. Maybe the car, whatever it is, people wanted to fight again. I don't know. But as of February 22nd, which is laughably early, I understand that. But that's what you have to go on. But on February 22nd, Kelton, all you can really go off of is things before February 22nd, right? So we'll have a whole different view as the weeks go by and as we come into May. But on February 22nd, what you have to look at, the first I guess is 6 weeks, right? I'm sorry, but show me where she has not exceeded expectations. The Senate hasn't exceeded expectation, and her as the majority floor leader, who gets a credit for that? Caleb Brown gets credit for that. John Rizzo gets credit for that. Speaking of John Rizzo, Statesman of the Year event, February 7th, coming up at Farm Bureau. Come join us. We are going to have the women legislators in with us. It's going to be so much fun. You're going to absolutely love it. I can't wait. We're going to have the auction. We got the old auctioneer, Jeff Knight, coming in. Going to have a very special guest MC. One of our MCs is going to be the Irish Rose, Ryan McKenna. He's going to come in and bless us with some of that Irish charm. He'll do great. If you don't like listening to McKenna speak, it's on you. It's like a dog. It's like scratching a dog's ears. He can just make you feel so good. You'll have that leg start shaking. Um, but more than that, I will say we're starting on the Fox 26 in St. Joseph this Sunday. Tony Luke Demeyer, Rusty Black, going to be a great day. We're going to start filming up there at some point. Not quite sure when we'll be there, but at some point. Then uh, thinking back through big events for this Friday. This Friday, United Electric Cooperative, come have a Bud Light with me. Let me buy you a Bud Light. United Co-op at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock. You want to come listen to what United Electric Co-op? Maybe the poster child for co-ops doing rural broadband. It might be the best, most advanced unit in the state, co-op in the state. They're doing such good work there. I'm going to come at 3, so I'm going to kind of listen to how this worked because I know. Look for some co-ops, and you get in Southern Missouri. Look, look, Jim Badge and those guys, they do have the advantage of you can just pretty well take your Kelton. I don't know if you ever dug a hole in North Missouri, but you can just got to take your shovel and go down about 6 inches. So it's a little easier to bury that stuff, and there is some reasons for that. They took advantage of it. You go down the Ozarks, we put that shovel in there, it's going to hit a rock about. If you have an inch of topsoil, you're living high. Um, but I tell you, they've done really good work, and I'm excited. I'm excited of the new sponsor. Excited and very grateful. Let's take some questions. First question: you gotta look. When I say we're gonna start doing these at 11, we're gonna start doing these at 11, right? We're gonna do these at 11 o'clock. Kelton is going to be like hillbilly. Get in here, do this, look fun, do the thing, get on time, get organized, and do it at 11. So when I say it starts at 11, it's now going to start at 11, and it's not because I'm in charge of it. It's because I'm not in charge of it. Kelton has this thing rolling at 11. So if you were here at 11, you would have seen this is the Bunker High School Eagles. Now that is not a charter school. They are not affiliated with anybody that's going to give you a transgender thing. They're not going to snip off your wang or anything like that. It is just a regular school court with cheerleaders, with point guards, with pitchers, catchers, softball players. I'm sure a lot of academics too. I'm not an expert on that. I played ball bunker at once when I was at Neelyville. Terrific, terrific school, right there in the good hill country in Missouri. Uh, and most of all, Lindsay Sushler. I always say she's from there. She has kin folks from there. Um, so that's what this is. Oh, boom. You reminded me. I appreciate it, Nate. Again, my deal to you. Guess what happened to me last night, Kelton? I received my not one, not two, not three, not fourth, not fifth, not sixth, not even seventh, my eighth Bud Light thanking me for sending them to the Courtyard by Marriott. I will give you the $20 challenge. You're coming to Jeff City, right? You want to come down and watch all the bills they're passing in the state senate. You want to watch this new Athenian senate that just everybody gets along and holds hands, sings kumbaya. You want to come see this for yourself. You don't take my word for it. So you come down, you get on Expedia, Price, whatever your website of choice is. Skip it. Go to Marriott. And I'm going to tell you why. is the coolest thing ever. If you go to the Marriott, checking into a hotel sucks. I don't care what hotel it is. Kel, have you ever? Yeah, I hate lines. I hate lines. I would rather I don't wait to eat. I would go to McDonald's happily over waiting in line to eat at any place. I hate lines. I hate them. I hate them. So at the hotel, it's like, oh my God, what are they typing back there? It's like they write a book about you, and you need like a hair and semen sample, blood type. Like, why do you need all this stuff? Well, guess what? At the Courier Marriott, you don't. You just walk in to your room. They send you the number. Doom, touch it with your phone. You're in. You don't have to. You don't have to get a blood sample. You really don't. You don't have to do a background check. I have. Have you ever wondered what they're typing back there? You're like, listen, I don't want incidentals. I just want the key, right? Just the key. And it takes forever, and the line's long if you check it at the normal time. Tell you, do this. Go look on your websites if you're just cheap. If you're going to be Ryan McKenna about it, go look on your websites. But when you do, if it's within $20, what I want you to do is I want you to book the courtyard. They may be $20 more expensive, right? It could be. They're, and if they're not, $40 better. You come find me, 225 Madison. You walk right in that door. I'll even have you here. And I'll shame you to death. But I will give you the $20. Ryan McKenna, this doesn't apply to because he is that cheap. He would come and want the $20. But I will give you the $20. If not, if it's $40 better, you owe me the Bud Light, right? You owe me the Bud Light. So guess how many $20 I've given out, Kelton? Not one. Not 120. Guess how many Bud Lights I've collected? The old eight ski. Next one will be a niner. So go to the Courtyard by Marriott. Yes, I'm in, and I got one person that just confirmed they are coming here the week after spring break. They have booked the Marriott. It was $7 more expensive, so fine, fine, fine. I will expect. I know who you are, and I will expect my beer after you love it. And again, do the thing with the Marriott app. Like if you right now, okay, let's say it's $4 more expensive to go to the Marriott, right? Fair enough. You might think, well, I'm going to save the $4. I'm going to go to some hotel that sucks and sleep in like bed bugs and like the Capitol Plaza. I think they'd rather slap you as have you come and be a guest there. So you go do that. When you're standing in that damn line, would you have paid $4 just to roll into the Marriott like you own the place? Touch your phone to the lock, walk right in. Excellent beds, excellent food downstairs, quiet as it can be, great parking, shuttle service anywhere you want to go in town. I'm telling you, when you're walking by the poor bastards that didn't book on that app while they're waiting in line and you walk right to your room, can't beat it. Next question. Okay, all right. We'll talk about schools. I'll talk about schools. If that's what you want. You want me to talk about schools? I'll talk about schools. Talk about like Bunker Eagles. So, it says what you seem to not be a fan of charter schools. Yeah, you think? Why not? I'm not. I'm actually not a. I'm not a hater of all charter schools. I think this. I'll just give it to you. I always had this in my head. There's a very very good lobbyist for the charter schools that I've known a long time. Know her husband well, and I have such a regard for her passion for the subject. I've always told schools they should try to hire her, and I don't think they would because I think and people a lot. Everyone is like you're trained to hate a lobbyist for some reason, but some lobbyists have passion projects. Every lobbyist has a few clients that I think that's it's more than a it's more than a representation. It's a passion. But she told me, she said, well, where schools are a state function essentially. They have and the state sets standards. All fine. When the state school fails its own standards, you should be able to experiment and try things. And I remember, I think it was Normandy that first got unaccredited, right? And when it got unaccredited, that was a huge situation, right? I'm pretty sure it was Normandy. I'm not. I There's so many little towns in and around St. Louis that it's very hard to. If you're from the hills and used to like Neelyville, Stringtown, Kuhlen, Fisk, Rombar, Poplar Bluff, and that's that's the geography. It's kind of hard to remember the 95 towns inside St. Louis County, but one of the towns, I think it's North County, and I think Normandy was it. They started doing some charter schools. I think they started even before, but that was the main thing I saw. And so you go to different schools. That it triggered a law. You could do a bunch of stuff. And I have a hard time seeing how, in a scenario where the schools failed, you don't try things, right? Because the model's broken. If you just don't like something in a textbook, that's what a school board's for, right? Go to your school board and tell them. And so I actually think charter schools perform some very good things, and I think it's hard to argue to me that you shouldn't try innovative things when the mousetrap's broken in an area. I also think if you have a community, and these exist in rural Missouri, but they also exist in St. Louis, where the streets are decayed and falling apart. The businesses have closed for the most part. Most people that can afford to move out have already moved out. I don't know why in a community that by every other element is failing, the school would be the one thing that succeeds. I think that's silly. I don't think that's logical. And frankly, where you're talking about students failing, yes, there are rich kids who have a lot of a lot of means that do struggle in school, but by and large, if a kid's got parents like my parents weren't really on me too much about grades, but I knew if I started making bad grades, I was going to hear about it, right? They weren't just going to let me fail classes or get D's or something. So that matters, and not every kid has that, and not every kid gets fed every night. Not every kid's clean. Not every kid's healthy. And that's in that situation, it makes that school's job infinitely impossible at times. So that's my thought. But I say, Missouri, here's what I think right now, and I'll just tell you, other people will hide this or. And I don't like to admit this. I don't like to have to break out the Ozark equalizer when it doesn't work for the Ozarks, right? I don't like that. But the fact is, if you want me to just break out the equalizer and just tell you that how the like the cabbage, school funding goes like this: Outstate Missouri heist a bunch of money from St. Louis. St. Louis pays for their schools, and they pay for a bunch of other schools. And rural Missouri towns exist in large part because of these schools. And if I was from St. Louis, which is why like people want to get me to give grief to the St. Louis senators that are doing this, I disagree with them, but I can't see how them wanting to starve out rural Missouri that is existing in part on the tax dollars of their constituents. I somewhat understand that. I think if you're a Republican, part of that's greed. It's like the Scrooge McDuck into the pool of gold bullion, greedy. I get it. I understand. You should just have the rural folks be greedy too and say, well, it's a law and you can't get past this. Power is also part of greed. But anyhow, um, and if you get monkey with that formula, it won't be long until that formula will have to be changed because you start pulling all the charge school folks are from out of the state. They're California, and we'll give you the poll. That's what we'll close with. But they're from out of state. Go to my Twitter account and vote in the poll. What county would actually have charter schools or have Corey, this precious little California Corey, be the keynote speaker at their Lincoln Day of all things? I think it's Polk, Butler, St. Louis, St. Charles County. Go to at Scott Faughn on Twitter and vote. We'll announce the results here any moment when I get done with this. But my thought is this: you get in that formula, these out of state people involved, they'll just cannibalize us. And what they really want to do, there's a map of a board out in Washington somewhere, right? It's got all 50 states on it. And I think somebody covered in Arkansas, and I'm like, so don't you want to be like Arkansas? And I'm like, wow. If I said I want to be like Arkansas, all the chicks at my family reunion would be like, whoa, get a little nervous, right? I go to family reunions just to meet like old, families. I don't really go to pick up chicks. I'm not really an Arkansan. And no, I don't want to be like Arkansas. I think the Woo Pig Sooie thing is just weird. I don't say that; it's just dumb to me. But no offense to our friends in Arkansas, it's just not my thing, right? They wonder why we keep spelling the name of the campus. Probably. I mean, I respect that. It's just differences. They want to just color Missouri in, and then they're done. And then there'll be people that come in and they'll rip through that money. And there are flaws in the existing system. I would never say there's not. But I think you try to fix those first. And most people just want to say, oh, let's just fire everybody. Let's just do this. It's a Twitter world, right? And suburban people, also, I promise you, 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 from my stein of knowledge, the suburban people won't be happy after that. It's not like they're going to quit complaining. They will complain the whole time. It's just the ethos of victimhood. I watched this thing on South Park where they were doing a brand management, and it was like famous, wealthy, powerful victim. Everything ended with victim, and everyone in the suburbs is just a victim. They just are. And you're not going to change that with giving them this bill. Then they're going to another bill because then you can't stop being a victim. It's just victim, victim, victim. Um, where rural Missouri, if you're a victim, we kind of shame you and think, what's wrong with you? Be a man, right? It's just a different culture. Neither one's good or bad. It's just different. But I just think what you'll see is that formula will get changed. Is it a fair formula? Hell no, it's not fair. But it benefits us. And if you change that formula, Roger Eady, who we talked about, his school in Windsor, Cameron and Bunny Parker. She went to Neelyville High School, the greatest high school ever. Had this terrific display of these veterans they made out of rice. It was really cool. Neelyville High School, gone. And that's just the truth. Now, I'm sure people in St. Charles County think, well, good, have me going, right? I get it. I think that about your county. So I mean, we're on the same page here. It's just right now you have to have turkeys vote for Thanksgiving, and if Cameron Parker cares so little about her friends and neighbors, and so little about the kids at Unionville she took a picture with, that she would vote to end that school, it's just turkeys voting for Thanksgiving. So that's my take. I think there's very good logic for them. Here's the part that I find funny, and this is where you would mistake. And I appreciate the question. You probably wanted me to tell charter school jokes, but I'm being candid with you. I appreciate the question because I do think there's a place for some charter schools, right? I do think that you got to keep that. They're not a blanket solution. They're a targeted solution, in my opinion. And part of that is simply because I know what will happen if you let that thing run amok. I can tell you, and I've been wrong about this, and where I really started to suspect these out of state groups, when Governor Greitens was in office, um, he did something I thought was terrible. I thought it was he treated the state like a rental car. He decided he wanted Margie McEwen fired. Now, as far as I understand, he never spoke to the woman, didn't know her. I don't even know what he wanted to do. I don't think anybody over at Desi knew what this guy wanted her to do or them to do. So what ends up happening is he goes and says fire her, and they're like, well, we're not gonna fire her. So there was a lot of unexpired terms. Governor Nixon, one way he did, as you know, I have a high regard for him, let the state down, let all these terms go expired, and when he did, he just started filling them. Well, people would get on there, they would see that, but we're not gonna fire her, and he had to pull them off, and they didn't get confirmed by the state senate. And the state senate confirmation is a very important thing. Shout out to Jeff Schrag, by the way, from Mother's Brewery, getting confirmed today. It was a very, very bad situation, and it was very disrespectful to the Senate. The Senate is the most important body in the entire state. It has to be preserved, or this state will be in a terrible way. Um, but he just went around them, and so I was like, well, now what's up here, right? What's going on? I don't. If you don't respect our state's institutions and its customs, why are you here? Go the hell out. So that's my thought. And then the hypocrisy that the reason you see me having a good time with them, I mean, that's the serious reason. The reason I say is you have all these Republicans from the suburbs. Oh, can't have woke. And I get it. I mean, you live on the border. If you're in St. Louis, which you may think St. Louis runs from like, what is it? Skinker to the river. No, 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 no. St. Louis runs from Winsville to Arnold. I get it. You get to see woke policies on display. You get to see a city that votes woke and gets what they voted for. And it's bad. It's not good. You don't like it. I understand. So you don't like wokeness. The part that is just mind boggling to me. And I get it. I mean, it ends just by the means, I guess. But the most woke institutions in this state is not Kim Gardner's office. It's KIPP Charter Academy. That is the most woke institution in the state. It's just a fact. WashU is just a bunch of elitists, highly intelligent, world class, super, super smart, genius elitist. The state is lucky to have WashU. They are absolutely lucky to have WashU. It is a world class university. And with world class universities come world class elitist assholes. And by God, they'll ring the bell for you. Uh, and look, you could say you're anti woke, and good. In many ways, I am. I don't have a problem with people that are woke. I just think it leads to bad stuff. Um, but fine, be woke, whatever. But you can't say you're not woke and then want to give more money to WashU, who literally has a transgender center. Like I have a lot of sympathy for people going through a transgender situation. I think that's got to be some challenge. I've never had to endure that challenge. But you can't say you're like anti woke, but you're pro that. That's just not real. Hypocrisy, right? Let's get the old hypocrisy. Um, you can't really say like, oh, I want at Blair Oaks. You walk in the school, right? Everywhere on the walls posters say grit, determination, work. You walk into Kip Charter schools as Black Lives Matter, which I mean I don't necessarily have like a beef with, but let's be real, it's not that's horseshit. I mean to say that one is some terrible woke thing. To say grit is woke, but Black Lives Matter is not, it's just who you're fooling, man. And this went forever without everybody calling it out. And there's a group of people that have a Twitter account, and hell, people think I know. I probably could guess a few people associated with it, but I don't know who that is. But I'll tell you what, tell me what they've said wrong. Take your time. Um, I'm sure. Look, so I don't like some of the stuff that gets personal. You don't see me attack Mary Elizabeth Coleman. I think she's the most talented. The most talented politician in that building right now, since Schmidt's gone, is Mary Elizabeth Coleman. This is 100%. I disagree with her on this, but I understand if you're from Arnold, why you'd be for what she's for. Totally get it. Uh, I just don't. I mean, it doesn't work for Festus really, or let's just go on down. Olympia Village, Bonterre, Deloge, Farmington, Frederick, those people. But she don't represent. Well, she represents some of them, but for the most part, she represents Arnold. So I get it. So that's my point. Let's talk though. This is the greatest thing of all time. You've heard me talk about California Corey. His name's like Corey D'Angelo, a little skinny feller, prances around, and he gets people. It's so funny. Oh my god, it is so funny. Oh, I love it. He gets you to say, "Don't fund systems students or something." A little, "Oh, don't fund," and these little lemmings will say it, and it's so hilarious. I mean, can you imagine a grown man doing that? I mean, damn, you would never be able to go to the Cottage Inn in Butler County again in your life. You just get your ass whipped as you walk in the door. So California Corey is doing a is been invited to speak at Lincoln Day, where you're supposed to be like John Wayne and John Dutton and Mike Parson and Kit Bond. Men's men are speaking at Lincoln Day, right? So one county has brought California Corey to speak at their Lincoln Day, and let's just run through the options on the poll here because we're closing it right now. The options were, and you could do this at home. You have Polk County. Do you think Trent Drake invited California Corey to speak at his charter as his Lincoln Day? Do you think it was St. Charles County? Crazy damn. Do you think it was Butler County? Do you think the county of Mark Richardson, men's men, would invite California Corey to come in and talk and Lincoln Day? Or do you think it was St. Louis County? And in a tight race, I'll give you the results. Polk County, 8%. And you're that right. Who voted Polk County? It was in the top of the poll, right? So coming in second is Butler County. You're just being smartasses. None of you thought it was Butler County. You did not believe that. Number three, coming in third, is St. Louis County. Yeah, well, yeah, Webster Grove's there. They probably like that charter school stuff. They're very liberal. And then coming in first at 39% is St. Charles County. And Kelton, do you know the answer to the question? It is St. Charles County. You could have invited Donald Trump. You could have invited Governor Dutton from Montana. You could have invited that wonderful lady from South Carolina. You could have invited Mike Parson, a man's man. Instead, you invite California Corey. It's the most St. Charles thing I've ever seen ever in my life. I love it so much. I love it so much. I'm giving $100 to the crew that's bringing him in because I've had more than $100 worth of fun. Now, here's the thing. I have for you another bet. Let me find here. Let me find you a good General Grant. If you can find me a video, so California Corey will come and he'll tell you, "Oh, we're gonna not be woke. We're just gonna be wash you." And then he's gonna do his chant, right? I hope to God he does his chant. That if he doesn't do his chant, somebody in St. Charles is being a total wuss right now. So he could do his little thing. If you can get me video of Greg Keller repeating the little cute little precious chant, $50 is yours. $50 to the person who can get me this video of Greg Keller. Now, Greg, be a man, even a Ledoux man. Don't wear like a mustache and glasses and stuff to hide your face while you're there. Own it, right? Own it. Own it. Rudy Giuliani dressed in drag once. He got over it. Own it. Show up and do the little chant. Oh, we must do this. I mean, it's so great. Please $50 to whoever can get me the first video of Keller doing this with his beautiful hair. It please, I'll $50. Period. And if you can get me a video of just Greg with good audio doing it just with California Corey, then it's $100. Two grants, double grants. If you can get me one with just the two of them, to the charity of your choice, cash money. You Google me, cash money. I'm in to you, but do that. I don't know when it even is. I can't wait. I was gonna go, but I don't want to be disrespectful. Steve Elman's from there because it'll be super funny. And let's be honest, most people are gonna be sitting in the crowd being like, "What? I don't know what this is about." But whatever. It's just the most St. Charles County thing of all time. I'm so excited for them. It really is great. And I guess Fauci's coming to wash you. Maybe they do that. Maybe they do to together. two great liberal icons uniting, California Corey and the Mass dude. Um, anyhow, it's there's a lot of fun to be had with WashU. I hope they have good senses of humor. They're going to need it, I think. Um, and look, here's the thing. You can think something is not good for the day, but overall, well, WashU is a tremendous asset, has been to the state for a long time, and the charter schools do have some uses. Whether even I don't think they have a use in Stringtown, Missouri, or Wausau, Missouri, or Peach Orchard, Missouri, or Scott City, Missouri, but I'm sure they do, right? DeSoto, I don't think they have use in DeSoto. I don't think they have use in Rolla. I don't think they have use in Springfield. I don't think they have I don't. I think there's a lady that lives a little bit north of Neosho, about 45 minutes from Joplin. I don't think she thinks they have a use there, but they have a use somewhere, right? And good for them. And you can be against something and not think it's awful. And you could also be Cindy O'Loughlin and make the Senate run. We've had a great time today. Talked a little much. We talked about the. Did we miss anything? I tell you what, I think it's just this Bunker Eagles T-shirt fits so well, and I love wearing it so much. I've stretched this out. So thank you again to Lindsay. Love you, Dee Dee. Thank you so much for this. I absolutely adore it. And we will see you Sunday this week in Missouri politics from the great Northwest with Senator Tony Luetkemeyer and State Senator Rusty Black. It's going to be a heck of a day.